Kia ora Aotearoa. Welcome whānau to the War on News, your weekly sacred council ordering assault on current affairs, beamed live from the palatial Stratus News bunker buried deep beneath the heart of the Greyland Republic. If this show is me on Radio New Zealand, in tonight's political media crimes against reason kill zone, according to the government, container ships are from Venus and deep-sea drilling is from Mars. John Key suffers credibility downgrade over credit downgrade comments. The John Banks and Don Brash tango of death continues, plus the week's Sex in the Super City and the Wanko the Week award. Leading the War on News this week, brothers and sisters, me. Apparently my criticism of John Key last week on Radio New Zealand has earned me a ban from the station. Radio New Zealand, however, say it's not a ban, it's an indefinite withdrawal of invitation. In the words of Tui, yeah right, a ban by any other name is still a ban. If you can't criticise the PM on state radio and the private radio give him free airtime during the credit downgrade where he doesn't answer any questions, then when the hell in a democracy can you criticise him? In the same week as I was banned from RNZ for criticising the Prime Minister, the Herald was banned from Parliament for 10 days and Key got his Radio Live freebie. If any of this had happened while Helen Clark was in power, it would be the end of Western liberal democracy as we know it. In the meantime, while I'm banished, forward all my mail to Siberia. And the headlines, whānau, according to the government, container ships are from Mars and deep-sea drilling is from Venus. National Party spin doctors have been frantically claiming that drawing any connection between the Rena oil spill and any possible deep-sea oil spill is a nonsense as the two events are utterly different. Technically, that's true. One is a container ship rammed onto a reef, the other is a hypothetical event that hasn't happened yet. But what can be questioned is the utter impotency of the government's response to date. National couldn't move fast enough to take the Rugby World Cup away from the Super City when trains failed, yet for what is our worst environmental accident in our history, National respond by dispatching Nick Smith to the scene? Folks, if Nick Smith is the answer, the question must have been, what won't help? If the government can't respond to an accident directly outside a port, how on earth will they respond to a deep-sea drilling accident at a depth 4 times deeper than the Gulf of Mexico oil spill? Unless we are threatening the deep-sea oil drillers with having to listen to Nick Smith talk for hours about blue-green initiatives, we will have no protection whatsoever from these types of events. And that reality about deep-sea drilling is something National want to muddy as much as our East Coast beaches currently are by this toxic sludge. To the headlines, whānau, John Key suffers credibility downgrade over credit downgrade comments. So, Standard & Poor's came out this week to refute the Prime Minister's claim that a change of government would see another credit downgrade. Apparently, John based his comment not from Standard & Poor's directly, but based it on a bloke down pub who once owned a couch bought by the gardener of a woman who later changed genders and purchased a company that held shares partly owned by a milkman who had a child who went to school with a girl who once caught measles from a man who owned a dog that once humped the leg of an analyst at Standard & Poor's. Of course, that is credible, Prime Minister. Why did any of us doubt you? Moving on with the headlines, whānau, the John Banks and Don Brash tango of death continues. After suggesting marijuana decriminalisation without telling John Banks, John Banks has now told Don to shut up about welfare reforms and stop the speech Don wanted to make. Seeing as Brash is the leader of the party, but Act's only chance of getting into power relies on Banks winning an Epsom, and according to Bowles, the people of Epsom are getting over this fast pretty quick, this fiasco has all the potential of a dysfunctional inbred clan rally going homicidal. If the leader is a poodle to the elected MP, then he's about as effective as Auckland's public transport system. Is it at all possible that Act have managed to make such clowns of themselves that they've actually exhausted the appetite for right-wing craziness by the voters of Epsom? Rodney Hyde must be laughing like a baboon on crack cocaine. Whānau, are you feeling sexy? It's Sex in the Super City time. The Queen Street occupation kicks off this Saturday from 3 p.m. as everyone who doesn't like anything gather in solidarity with the Wall Street occupation, as people's level of pissed offness with corporate greed finally gets above the level of pressing the like button on Facebook threshold of social agitation. Anarchists, environmental socialists, eco warriors, gays, lesbians, libertarians, Marxists, socialists, social democrats, hacky sack stoners, fluoride out of water activists, and anti-globalization protesters, pretty much everyone except blue-greens, will all converge on Queen Street on Saturday to occupy the street and send a message to the wealthiest 1% of New Zealand that, depending on the weather, their days are numbered. Whānau, let's finish the show by handing out this week's Wanko of the Week award. This week's Wanko of the Week, brothers and sisters, has to go to the canonisation of Simon Power. With his standing down, the waxing of the lyrical has been at full volume, singing his praises as some sort of great bridge builder and consensus maker who could reach across the political divide to seek compromise. How the bloke who managed to ram through the largest erosion of civil liberties this country has ever seen can be described as a bridge builder seems a tad delusional, destroying independent legal aid, denying jury trials, televised court appearances, private prisons, vast increases in state surveillance powers. If these are the hallmarks of a bridge builder, where the bloody hell are you building the bridge? To hell? Simon Power will be judged far more harshly by history for his erosion of civil liberties than the compliant mainstream media of today. That's it for tonight, folks. Don't forget Citizen A plays Friday, 8 p.m. Freeview 21 and Sky 89. Follow me on my Citizen Bomber Twitter and Facebook site. It has all the shows posted up online and allows you to befriend other like-minded citizens for romantic news moments. Good night, New Zealand. You stay classy, Aotearoa. Righto.